When we look back at the cinematic landscape of the last 2 decades, one silhouette stands taller than the rest, illuminated by the glow of an arc reactor and defined by the sound of repulsors charging up. But as time passes and new gods enter the arena, it has become all too easy for the modern audience to forget the sheer, terrifying magnitude of what Tony Stark actually accomplished, often reducing him to just a rich guy in a metal suit, or a man who got lucky with his inheritance. But today, we are going to burn that misconception to the ground with the heat of a unibeam and scientifically dissect why Iron Man is not just a superhero, but the single most dangerous human being to ever exist in the history of fiction. A man who looked gods in the eye and told them to get out of his way because he had work to do. We are going to explore the depths of his armory, from the nanotech that bleeds from his skin to the cosmic machines that murder celestials. And by the end of this video, you will understand why even Thanos, the mad titan himself, was cursed with the knowledge of Stark. Before we activate the house party protocol, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe, because we are about to upgrade your knowledge to Mark 85 levels. To understand the true power of Iron Man, we must first strip away the armor and look at the engine, the mind of Anthony Edward Stark. His superpower is not the suit. The suit is merely a prosthetic for his intellect. We are talking about a man who built a miniaturized fusion reactor in a cave with a box of scraps while dying of shrapnel poisoning. This isn't just engineering, this is miracles on demand. In the comics, his intelligence is classified as a futurist superpower. His mind literally processes the future, predicting societal and technological trends decades before they happen, which is why he is always paranoid, always preparing for a threat that no one else sees. This curse of knowledge, as Thanos called it, is what drives his power. While Batman needs prep time to study an enemy, Tony Stark invents a new element, as he did in Iron Man 2, or discovers a method for time travel over a single evening, as he did in Endgame, simply because the situation demands it. He solved the equation for time travel, something that Bruce Banner, the smartest man in biophysics, couldn't crack. And he did it after putting his daughter to bed. That is the baseline we are working with. Now, let's talk about durability, because people assume that inside the suit, he is just a squishy human. In the MCU, we saw him tank a moon. Let me repeat that. Thanos pulled a moon out of orbit and threw it at him. And Tony Stark was the one who was still standing, annoyed but alive. In the comics, his durability is even more absurd. His shields have withstood blasts from the Phoenix Force, a cosmic entity that eats stars. He has survived a point-blank nuclear explosion while his suit was at 2% power. But the peak of his biological integration comes with the bleeding edge armor and later the endosim armor. The bleeding edge technology is stored inside his bone marrow. He doesn't put the suit on. The suit is inside him. He can summon it with a thought, and the nanobots pour out of his pores to form a second skin that is harder than vibranium. This means you cannot catch him off guard. You cannot steal his suit. He is the suit. The endosim armor, based on symbiote biology, like venom, is a liquid smart metal that hardens instantly and reacts psychically to his commands. It doesn't just protect him, it feels what he feels. If he gets angry, the suit gets bulkier, stronger, and more aggressive. It is a technological extension of his id. Now, let's address the heavy hitters, the Buster series. Everyone knows the Hulkbuster, designed to go toe-to-toe with the strongest one there is. And in Age of Ultron, we saw it successfully knock the Hulk out, with a little help from a building, proving that Tony can physically overpower a rage monster. But that is child's play compared to the Thorbuster. Powered by an Asgardian crystal given to him by Thor himself, this suit allowed Tony to fight a King Thor who possessed the Odin Force. He was punching a god who could warp reality, and he was holding his own. Then there is the Phoenix Buster. When the Phoenix Force was coming to Earth to destroy everything, Tony didn't hide. He built a massive cosmic cannon that shot the Phoenix and shattered it into 5 pieces. He literally shot a god into fractions. Was it a good idea? Maybe not, as it created the Phoenix 5. But the feat of engineering required to harm an abstract cosmic entity is calculable only in god-tier metrics. But we have to go deeper. We have to talk about the Godkiller armor. This is where the casual fans get left behind. The Godkiller armor wasn't designed to fight villains. It was designed to kill Celestials. Celestials are the space gods who created the MCU Eternals and judge planets. This armor stands 25,000 feet tall. It is a fleet-destroying, reality-anchoring weapon of mass destruction that Tony piloted to defend the Earth. And if that wasn't enough, let's discuss the Godbuster armor, or the Iron Man Model 63. In the Iron Man comic run, Tony created a virtual reality world called the Escape. Within this digital realm, his mind was free from the limits of physics, and he designed the ultimate armor. When he brought this design into the real world, it was so advanced that even other super geniuses couldn't understand it. It was described as the ultimate weapon. When he wore it, he effortlessly defeated a threat that the rest of the Avengers couldn't scratch. After the fight, Tony destroyed the armor because he deemed it too powerful for reality. He built a suit so strong that he scared himself. That is the level of power we are dealing with. A man who builds gods and then scraps them because they are too efficient. Let's bring it back to the MCU and the most iconic moment in cinema history, the snap. We focus on the emotional weight of "I am Iron Man," but we ignore the physical impossibility of what happened. Tony Stark, a normal human with no super soldier serum, no gamma radiation, and no god DNA, wielded all 6 Infinity Stones. We saw what the Power Stone did to the Guardians. It almost killed them all. We saw what the stones did to Hulk. It permanently crippled his arm. We saw what they did to Thanos. It burned him. Tony Stark built a gauntlet using nanotechnology that was capable of channeling the energy of the Big Bang. And he held onto that energy long enough to formulate a thought and snap his fingers. His suit managed to absorb and distribute enough of the cosmic radiation to keep him conscious for those final crucial seconds. That is not just a feat of willpower. That is the greatest engineering feat in the history of the universe. He built a machine that could contain the power of God. But what truly makes Iron Man dangerous is his adaptability. He learns from his mistakes. In the first Avengers, he runs out of power trying to reach the portal. In the future suits, he develops absorption technology that allows him to absorb Thor's lightning to supercharge his repulsors, as seen in Endgame. In Civil War, his suit is compromised by Ant-Man from the inside. By Infinity War, his nanotech is hermetically sealed and fluid, preventing any internal sabotage. In Civil War, he loses a hand-to-hand fight against Captain America and Bucky because he relies on pattern analysis that takes too long. In later iterations, His combat AI is instantaneous. You can beat Iron Man once, but you will never beat him the same way twice. He evolves faster than any biological organism. This is why Batman's prep time argument often falters against Stark. Batman plans for contingencies based on existing data. Stark invents new variables that negate the data. Batman would bring an EMP to disable the suit. Stark would have already moved past electronics to biological computing or hardened his circuits against EMPs, which he did in Iron Man 3. It is a battle of a strategist versus an inventor, and the inventor usually dictates the rules of the battlefield. We must also talk about his offensive output. His repulsors are not just lasers, they are concussive force beams that act as a physical punch. But his unibeam? That is a focused plasma discharge that can vaporize metal. In Infinity War, he uses zero cannons, floating detached units, to combine fire with his main body, creating a web of energy. He has missiles that can blow up tanks, lasers that can cut through blast doors, and sonic cannons that can incapacitate Hulk. But his most dangerous weapon is Saul's hammer. In the comics, during the Time Runs Out storyline, Tony builds a Dyson sphere around the sun to harness its energy. He turns the sun itself into a laser. He fires it at an invading alien fleet and destroys it at 2% power. Let me say that again. He turned the sun into a gun. That is the scale of his ambition. He doesn't just want to save the Earth. He wants to engineer a shield around it. This connects perfectly to the Ultron initiative. Yes, Ultron was a mistake, but the logic was sound. A suit of armor around the world. Tony saw the cosmic threat coming before anyone else. He knew Thanos was inevitable. His PTSD in Iron Man 3 wasn't weakness. It was the burden of foresight. He was the only adult in a room full of children, screaming that the wolves were coming. And when the wolves finally arrived, he was the only one ready to bleed to stop them. This brings us to the Robert Downey Jr. connection and the new Doctor Doom reveal. It is poetic and tragic. Tony Stark wanted to save the world even if he had to control it. Dr. Doom wants to save the world, but only if he rules it. They are two sides of the same coin. Tony's greatest fear was becoming the villain, becoming the merchant of death he once was. Seeing his face now used for the ultimate villain is the final twist in his legacy. It asks the question, if Tony Stark had lost hope, if he had lost his heart, would he have become Doom? The power was always there. The intellect was always there. The arrogance was certainly there. The only difference was the heart. Proof that Tony Stark has a heart. That small arc reactor was the only thing keeping him from becoming a tyrant. Without it, with that moral compass removed, Tony Stark with magic, which Doom possesses, is a terrifying concept. So, how powerful is Iron Man really? He is a man who can build a suit to punch out the Hulk, a suit to fight Thor, a suit to kill Celestials, and a suit to rewrite reality. He is a man who can harness the sun, solve time travel, and wield the Infinity Stones. He is a man whose brain is a weapon of mass destruction. He proves that humanity doesn't need super soldier serums or radioactive spiders to stand among the gods. We just need to be smart enough, brave enough, and stubborn enough to build our own wings. He is the Da Vinci of death and the architect of hope. He is the godfather of the MCU, and despite his death, his shadow still looms larger than any living hero. He didn't just win the war, he defined the era. And if you think for a second that anyone else could have snapped those fingers and lived as long as he did to say those final words, you haven't been paying attention. He is Iron Man, and that is all the power he ever needed. If you are Team Stark and believe he is the greatest Avenger of all time, light up the comments with an arc reactor emoji. Who do you think would win in a chess match of wits, Stark or Batman? Let me know. And remember to subscribe, because heroes get remembered, but legends never die. I love you.